Okay, I think we can start. Hello once again, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you here on this webinar. We are co-organizing with China IP SME Helpdesk. First of all, I would like to introduce our speakers, Mrs. Lisa Lu and Helika Jurgenson from the China IP SME Helpdesk, who are here to talk about the intellectual property protection during exhibitions and fair trades in China, which is a very important topic nowadays, of course, and might be very useful for some of you who are exhibiting in China next week. My name is Daniel. I'm from the Slovak Investment and Trade Development Agency, and I will be the MC of today's webinar instead of my colleague Lukáš Merga, who were in charge of this webinar. Just a few information at the beginning. You have the possibility to ask questions in the Q&A section, or just raise a hand and we will allow you to talk. We will answer all of the questions after the presentation. Now, without any hesitation, I would like to give the floor to our speakers.
Thank you, Daniel. So I'll start. So I'm Helika Jurgenson, as Daniel introduced. I am the project manager of the China IP SME Helpdesk project. And at first, before we hear from Lisa about how to protect your intellectual property rights during trade fairs, I will briefly introduce the China IP SME Helpdesk project, so you know who we are and what we do. So the China IP SME Helpdesk project, it's a European Union funded project, and it focuses on supporting European small and medium-sized enterprises with intellectual property rights protection when they are entering foreign markets, when they're entering China. In this instance, and all of the services that the China IP SME Helpdesk project provides, which I will introduce in a moment, are all free of charge for European SMEs. So I also welcome you to contact us later on to get more support from the project. So the China IP SME Helpdesk in intellectual property wise, it covers the 4 jurisdictions in China. You might have heard that in the Greater China, we do have 4 different jurisdictions with slightly different intellectual property rights related laws and regulations. So we have mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. So their laws are slightly different. And today, as most of you, I heard, are next week exhibiting during the NINGBO EXPO in mainland China in Ningbo. So we're focusing mostly on the intellectual property rights protection in mainland China. But also, if you have any further questions later on, you can ask us about Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan as well, if that's sort of interest. So let's now talk about what China IP SME Helpdesk does. So the main focus of the project is to provide advice. So we're not providing legal advice, but we're providing business-oriented first-line advice on intellectual property rights. Essentially, we maintain a helpline which you can access either via the question email address here, or you can also call us if you want to. The other options are that through our website, you can directly ask your questions or contact us directly through the website. And you can ask us any question relating to intellectual property rights and then receive an answer from our IP business advisor, Lisa, within 3 working days. Through the helpline and through our website, you can also book a consultation session. So this will be a one-on-one consultation session. It's a confidential session, usually via Microsoft Teams or Zoom, where you can discuss any IP-related matters with Lisa. It's usually an half an hour or an hour. And you can book multiple sessions as well if you wish to. So, and this service, as are all of our services, is also free of charge. So you can really take advantage of the project. If you have any questions about intellectual property rights protection, you can approach us. And of course, I mean, there is a limit to what we can do because we're a free service provider, so we cannot step on the toes of law firms. That would be anti-competitory. So we cannot obviously register anyone's IP in China, and we cannot represent you at court. But we do collaborate with 70+ external experts who are vetted agencies who can help you with any of those legal matters. They can help you with registration of IP, or in a case if your IP is infringed, they help you also with getting legal remedies. Another thing that the China IP SME Helpdesk project does is that we organize training workshops and webinars. We do those on site in or throughout China and Europe as well. We also have an office in Brussels, and we can do on-site events across Europe as well. Another thing, through our website, you can access a comprehensive library of guides, infographics, fact sheets, e-learning modules. So basically our website functions as a one-stop shop on intellectual property rights matters that you can use to learn about intellectual property rights in China. When it comes to different guides that we have those on the basics of IP, but also more advanced guides dealing with specific questions concerning specific industries. Then as well as topics such as contracts, even IP as management as a business asset. So how to monetize your IP, how to make money on this. And finally, if you do want to keep up to date with all the recent trends, you can read our blog where we write about all of the recent trends in IP. Of course, if you follow our activities and events, you can access or join all of the webinars that we organize. For on-site events, maybe a little bit more difficult, but all of the webinars you can join from wherever you are. And we usually organize webinars on the major topics, major legal changes as well. So if you want to keep up to date, then check us out. Now, also, China IP SME Helpdesk, here's just an example of a few of our guides, So what I wanted to say is China IP SME Helpdesk is a part of a larger helpdesk family. So there are also Southeast Asia, India, Europe, and Africa, as well as Latin America IP SME Helpdesks. They provide exactly the same services that I was just talking about. It's just that the regional focus is different. So in case you're also focusing on another region, you can check out the other helpdesks as well to learn about intellectual property rights in other regions. And well, now a brief introduction also of our IP business advisor, Lisa. So Lisa, now IP business advisor, is a former trademark attorney. So she has previously worked also in Ferrante intellectual property rights, as well as Changzi and partners. And she has great experience in helping small and medium-sized enterprises, but also big enterprises in the past with trademark-related issues. Even though she's a former trademark attorney, she is very well aware of and knowledgeable of all IP areas. So don't hesitate to approach her also on patent-related questions or on any other IP matters-related questions. So and with this note, I'll hand it over to Lisa for today's presentation.
Thank you, Helika. And it's my pleasure to introduce IP protection when attending trade fairs in China to Slovakian companies. And first of all, I would like to introduce very basic IP principles in China, and making sure everyone has a overview of IP landscape in China. And then we will see some common issues faced by the European companies during the trade fairs in China. And then we will go through the strategy before, during, and after attending the trade fairs. And also I will share some real case studies help desk received over the years. And I hope everyone can understand why IP is important, otherwise you will not be here. So similar in Europe, in China, the IP systems are include different types of IP, and IP can protect your intangible assets. And if you have IP in China, then you will have the exclusive right to explore your IP. For instance, if you register your trademark and patent in China, then nobody else can use those trademark and patent in China without your consent. And IP also attracts partners and investors. If it's not the first time you've been in China, over the years, you may have realized that the Chinese partners value IP more and more. This is also the national policy. So generally, the more IP, the more comprehensive IP portfolio you have, the chance you get the partners and investors in China is higher. And once you have the IP in China, you can also license your IP and collect the royalties here. And I believe a lot of you are worried about your IP will be infringed in China. And what is the best solution to prevent that? It's having the IP register and protect it in China. And especially for those food and beverage or consumer products companies, considering having the trademarks register as early as possible, because you may have heard that if you do not register now, someone else may register it, copy your brand, that it's bad faith trademark registration. And if you have IP protected in China earlier, then those situations will be prevented. And here are three very basic IP principles you need to understand when you decide, before you decide to protect your IP in China. First is registration that applies to trademark and patent. Without registration in China of trademark and patents, you cannot fully enforce your rights. You cannot say, I have trademark or patent protected in China. And if you only apply for it, however, it's not granted yet, then unfortunately, you do not have the full protection. And second principle is IP is territorial right. So if you already have European IP, that doesn't mean you have protection in China. Check if your, for instance, like international trademark has been extended to China, or if you have separate trademark protection in China. If not, unfortunately, your IP in Europe will not be able to protect you in China. And the last principle is first to file. That means, again, for patent and trademark, if whoever is the first to file that IP and have it registered, they can claim they are the owner of IP, of those IP. And as the real IP owner, it's still possible to claim the rights back, but it will take a lot of time and money to do it. The best solution is still registering your IP in China as soon as possible. And next week, a lot of you may go to NINGBO and attend the NINGBO EXPO, or even go to Shanghai to attend the CL for food and beverage trade fair. And those are some common issues faced by European SMEs, and I hope none of you will face these issues. First is the bad faith trademark registration. It happens a lot, especially for those, again, food and beverage companies or fashion companies, the first time coming to China, first time showcase the products in China. And then after they go back to Europe, they realize they cannot register their trademarks in China because during those trade fairs, someone else steal their brand. It happens to many companies, and we receive those questioned those cases for several times. So be aware of that and protect your IP before coming to China at a trade fair. And we also received some infringement cases, for instance, like during the trade fairs, when you walk around the venue, you found out your competitors has copied your products and sold it and showcase that during the trade fair. Because if you are the IP owner in China, you can call the IP infringement and you can take actions against it. But if you do not have that IP in China, unfortunately, there are not much you can do about it. And I believe some of you may heard of when you protect the patent, you have to make sure this is new and this is not in the market yet. Therefore, if you showcase your technology products in China during the trade fair, there's a possibility that you may lose the novelty of your technology, meaning you may not be able to patent your new technology after the trade fair. It's not an absolute situation. For instance, if the trade fair has been recognized by the Chinese government, like the NINGBO EXPO, and it's still possible for you to file the patent within 6 months, if you have a lot of sufficient evidence to provide that this is the first time you showcase your technology, and you have proof to showcase that to show that you attend this trade fair, then it's still possible to patent it, but it will go through more procedure and more complicated. It will be more complicated. So my suggestion is to showcase your technologies, be aware of that, and showcase as limited information as possible. We will have a case studies relevant to this situation, and you will see how the successful case should be. The last one is maybe a lot of you worry that when you negotiate with the potential partners in China, you will worry about the loss of your trade secrets when you having those business meetings. To avoid that, I will explain how to avoid this situation happen when you talk with the potential clients. And the best solution is always register and protect your IP rights in China before attending a trade fair. So before you protect your IP, you need to know what types of IP you can protect. First is trademark that protect the logo and brand. It's similar with the European system. And second is the patent. In China, you can protect your technology as invention patent or utility model. Different from Europe, for industrial design, it's also protected by patent system. And for your logo, packaging, banner, brochure, software, consider to register as copyright. And if it's online materials, try to use the blockchain to preserve and register it as copyright. And if it's like printed out, there's no e-version, you can consider to register those as copyright in China. It's possible to do that. And for those public business information, which is sensitive and it's of your core technology, consider to protect it as trade secrets. And also double check if your product bearing with GIs, and double check if your domain names have been protected. In conclusion, you should register your trademark, patent, and copyright, and also be aware that what you displayed during the trade fairs to avoid the possibility to avoid not being able to patent your new technology anymore. And before attending the trade fairs, you should also prepare a template of NDA that you can sign that with your Chinese partners during the trade fairs. And don't worry about them refusing to sign the NDA. It has been accepted broadly in China. If you do not know what types of IP you can use, you can always use our IP diagnostic tool that only includes 20 questions, and after answering that, we will tell you, this tool will tell you what kind of IP you should be aware of in China and how to commercialize to your IP. Besides protecting your IP, here are some documents you need to prepare. It's not only to show that you have owed those IP in China, but also to prepare in case there are IP infringements. So firstly, naturally, it's the certificate of your IP right ownership. And if you only have the international trademark, please double check if you have the Chinese version, because the international trademark, it's not issued the certificate automatically in Chinese. And you are in China, the English level is not that high as in Europe. And a lot of authorities, they do not accept the IP ownership in foreign language. So if you do not have the Chinese certificate, contact lawyer or contact us to ask how to get the Chinese version of the certificate. And in case in the future you have, there are infringements, you should also prepare the business license and power of attorney in case you are going to appoint lawyers. And for those business license and power of attorney, you do not need to have it notarized or legalized if you want to comply with any IP infringement with the trade fairs generally. But in case you want to bring your case as soon as possible to the Chinese authorities, like the court or the Administration for Market Regulation, then they may require the notarized and legalized version of business license and power of attorney. And it will take around 1 to 2 weeks to get it done. So if you are seriously consider and concerned about IP infringement, have them notarized and legalized in your home country as soon as possible. It takes 1 or 2 weeks. And it will be very helpful for you to know what options you have in trade fair if you read the exhibitor contract carefully, and what information you should be aware of in terms of IP protection. First, are there any measures in place if counterfeits or infringing products are identified? And is it possible to expel those exhibitors or clear the stores if there are indeed IP infringement? And if there's any IP claim desk, complaint center, or you can call at the trade fairs, but according to Chinese law, for any trade fairs more than 3 days, lasting more than 3 days, including 3 days, there should be an IP complaint center. And I already checked for NINGBO EXPO and CL, there will be IP complaint center. So what you need to do is to know where it is. We will go through it later. And the last things you can do before the trade fair is to go through the exhibitor list and try to find your exhibitor or someone already contact you for potential meetings. Do a little background search about those companies you are going to meet, making sure they are decent company. And how to do those background search? You can use the national database called National Enterprise Credit Information Publicity Systems. And however, this database is only in Chinese. It may require you to log in with a Chinese phone number. If it's not feasible for you, you can always contact help desk or embassy or chamber of commerce and other business support organization to help you to use this system. This is how the system looks like. It's all in Chinese. You can visit by clicking this link. And in this system, you can learn about the legal representative of the Chinese company and the capital of it, also the business type and what kind of business they are doing, which dates they have been established, the shareholders, and also you can see the red flag that whether or not they are in the normal operation sometimes some companies already bankrupt or have been listed as dishonest enterprise, but they're still doing business. And in this situation, you need to be aware of and stop talking with them. You can also check whether or not this company in any dispute in history. And you can download the annual reports of that company. However, the annual report usually do not reveal the annual turnovers or the other more sensitive financial information. And we actually have a video of step-by-step guides on how to use this database. You can scan this QR code and follow the video, and you can do it on your own. And this is the preparation before the trade fairs. During the trade fairs, you have many options to protect your rights. And also during the trade fairs, you have to do different actions to make sure you know what to do when the IP infringement indeed happen. First, it's to have an on-site visit. It's usually can be done on the first day because there are not many visitors, especially in the early morning. You can walk around the venue and you can already see the banners and the brochures of different companies. If you can identify the suspicious companies, such as use very similar banners like yours or similar products like yours, then this could be IP infringement, and you can be aware of that. And also carefully share information with the potential partners. We will go through it in details later. And have your IP ownership certificate with you, because some Chinese partners, they may ask you to check it. You can show it to them, but do not let them to take a picture of those certificates. You don't know what they are going to use. And if you already have IP protected in China, you can also mark your products with patent number, trademark. Those R logo, meaning it's already registered in China. And also for copyright, you can use the copyright symbols. That is the proper use of this logo, and also showing to the visitors that you have IP protected in China. That will be more attractive to them. And also for the evidence collection, if you indeed found some IP infringement, what you can do, first making sure you have something to take picture of. Nowadays we can use phone always, and you can take picture of the photos of the infringing product, the brochures where they show, probably they claim that they are the partners of your companies, and the business cards. So in the future you can contact them. However, I need to say that taking photos could be useful to complete on site, but those photos will not be useful if you decide not to complete on site. Instead, you go to the court or go to complete with the Chinese authority after the trade fair. And what you can do about that then? First, on site, you can have a notary's company with you. In that case, you have to contact the notary beforehand. You need to know who is the one who can accompany with you and what's their function. When you are walking around the venue with the notary, and the notary will record whatever they have seen on site. So they will take a picture of whatever the infringement evidence is, and that will be notarized evidence. That kind of evidence you can use in the courts and in other administrative procedures, not only on the IP complaint center. And not for this time, but in the future, if you attend online trade fair, you can consider to use the website notarization to do the same, to notarize those evidence. And making sure you know where is the IP complaint center. Usually it's in the very front door of the entrance. While making sure you know where it is, in case there's any urgent situation you want to file a complaint immediately. And keep in mind that complaint with the trade fair on site is not always the best option, because it's possible that you do not have enough IP registration certificate in China yet, or according to the Chinese law, what you think is IP infringement is actually not an IP infringement. And also more important is do not alert the infringer before you building up your case. However, in two situations, I will recommend you to comply with the trade fairs. First, you do not need to conduct the further investigation into the infringer. Probably you already have enough evidence in the past, or the infringement is very, very clear and you have all the documents you already have. But this is not the case for most of the SMEs I know. Anyway, always consult with an IP expert. You can contact me anytime or contact with any of our IP experts. And here we have some suggestions about how to handle the meeting with business partner. So before the discussion, I already mentioned, prepare the NDA in advance, do the background search into the business partner. That you can start doing it now. For the NDA, I will recommend you to have the Chinese and English version of it and have an IP expert to draft that for you. And when during the fair, how to share the information. Be aware that you only share the very rough idea. Do not share the very detailed technical information with the business partner. And you can always ask your business partner to view those information at your business premises later on. If they really want to work with you, they will agree to do that. And after the trade fairs, you will continue the negotiation. And when you sign the MOU, and it should include the non-disclosure obligations, which is more comprehensive than the NDA itself. And the final agreement should also include the confidentiality obligations for both parties, and make it very clear that what types of IP owned by which party and what types of information is going to be exchanged during the collaboration. And for European companies, you should continue to monitor your partners, and you should pay on announced visits and conduct the periodic audits. And I already found this menu for the NINGBO EXPO. And for NINGBO EXPO, they already mentioned that there will be an IP complaint desk. So whenever you encounter any IP infringement, you can come to them or talk to me first. But this is always an option for you. So how to file a complaint at the trade fairs? First, you can submit a complaint. You should submit a complaint with the evidence. The evidence, what I mentioned, like the photo and your IP certificates. And it's possible to file in Chinese and in English, depending on the venue itself. You have to talk with the complaint center. And later on, after your submission, you can discuss your case with the IP officer, and they will examine the case they will check whether or not your IP in China is valid, and also check those evidence you submitted is completed. And then the officer will inform the infringer on site, and the infringer has defend period, meaning they have to they can defend within very short limited. Therefore, 3 days to finish the whole process seems very it seems very short, and time is valuable for you. You should start this process as soon as possible on the first day of it. And if the infringement is confirmed, the organizer and IP officer will remove or cover the infringing products or expel the infringers from the venue. And as I said, complaint at a trade fair may not be the best options. Then what you can do after the trade fair. And you should collect and preserve the evidence. Like I said, you need to make sure you notarize those information, and having the notaries being there with you and knowing and you need to know what evidence you need to collect during the trade fair. And also after the trade fair, you can keep that evidence collection procedures. And after those evidence collection, you can, according to the advice of the IP expert, you can choose different options I list here. the mild one is the sending the notification letter to the infringer that basically tells them you notice the infringement and you want to negotiate with them in a friendly way. And if you want the letter to be harder, you can ask your lawyer to send a cease and desist letter to them. And that means you are going to take legal actions if they do not stop the infringement. And it's also possible to inform the administration, for instance, like police or the market regulation administration, they can do a further investigation into the infringers. And if they know where are those infringer products are, they can also do a announced rate. So that's very powerful actions. And if they confirmed there are counterfeits in a warehouse or any infringement, they can fine the infringers and make sure they will stop infringing your IP right in the future. It's also possible to choose the mediation and the arbitration. And the last resort is litigation. A lot of companies believe they can only sue to the court when they encounter IP infringement, but it's not true. In litigation, it's the last resort. I will always recommend you to try the sending letters or informing the administrations before you decide to bring the case to the court, because the court is very expensive and it's very time consuming for SMEs. Most of the time it's too much. So we have some case studies to share with you. And the first case is about trademark application and trade fair participation. So there was an Italian startups, they design swimming suits, and it's the first time to come to China and introduce their products to Chinese customers. This is a big opportunities for them because they are going to, they were attending this biggest trade fair in China, China International Import Expo, CIIE. So for them, it's a great business opportunity. However, they were not aware that they need to protect their IP before coming to China. And during the trade fair, I was working in the venue and then talk with them and realized they need to protect their trademarks especially. And because the SMEs only need a trademark protection in China, they do not have any target market except for Europe. Therefore, I suggest them to register their trademark in China via the national route. That means the protection is only in China. And also because it's in China, they should create a Chinese brand name for their products. And also it's an important tips for them to have full control of their ownership. Because a lot of time, your Chinese partners may offer that they can register your trademarks under the Chinese company name. Later on, they can transfer the trademark to you and they will tell you that it's easier to register for a Chinese company. It is not true. And also, if you let your Chinese partner to have the control over your ownership, it's possible that you can never get it back. So be aware of that. Try to register under your name. And before registering trademarks, always conduct a clearance search beforehand. And this is a successful case because 9 months later, the SMEs was informed that all their trademarks, including the Latin trademarks and trademarks in Chinese, were registered in China. So from this case, we can learn that you should register your trademarks right before coming to China. And if you are already at the trade fairs, don't worry, it's still not too late. Do a clearance search, and if it's still clear, nobody copy your trademark, go ahead with the registration. And also, it's a good strategy to register your trademark in Chinese because it will help the Chinese consumers to remember your brand name. And don't allow your Chinese partner to register it under their name. And always seek for the assistance of IP experts if you want to register your IP. And the second case study is about how to protect those unregistered inventions. So we have these Spanish SMEs. They showcase a new tractor which including the new technology. And for this company, they attend a trade fair in Beijing. And let's see what kind of IP or what kind of innovation they have. They have this new model of tractor with millions euros already investing into the development. The tractor also has a new design, and the tractor has new function that allows it to lower the fuel consumption. And the core technology is the engine. However, the engine they have not registered as invention patent in China. So now they are facing a situation that whether they should come to the trade fair to expose themselves and hopefully get a lot of business opportunities, or in case they will lose the novelty of engine and preventing from patenting in China, they have to stop coming to trade fair. That's the challenge they face. And at the end, they still decide to come to trade fair, however, with a lot of measures to protect their engine. So they decided to protect it as trade secrets. They decided not to bring the engine to the trade fair. And instead, they train their employees who are going to attend the trade fair, that they can promote the tractor and discuss about the advantage of the new engine. But they are not allowed to talk about the details of the technology, because this technology has to be patentable after the venue. And they even notarizing how they expose the tractor, making sure the engine is not in the picture of exposure. And for other IP, they also take actions to protect it. For instance, like the logo and trade name, protect it as trademark. And for the catalog, they protect it as copyright. For the design, they protect it as design patent. And the outcome, again, it's very successful. So they showcase the tractor without the loss of novelty of the engine. And later on, they have enough time to prepare for the invention patent for the engine in China. And it's not recommended to participate at the trade fair without the registration of IP rights, and use the IP if you do not want to register your IP or you do not have enough time, considering trade secret protection. And when you share those new technology, it's okay to talk about the advantage. It doesn't mean the loss of novelty. However, for those technical solution details, you shouldn't talk about it without getting the patent done. And so prepare your IP strategy as early as possible. The last case study is about infringement. I believe a lot of you have not experienced the infringement in China, or even not only in trade fair, but generally speaking. And for this French SME, unfortunately, they encounter the authorized trademark use and pirated products, and at the trade fairs, Canton Fair in Guangzhou. Maybe some of you heard about it. It's also one of the biggest trade fair in China. Luckily, this French company has trademark registration in Latin words and also in Chinese. So what SMEs do is they start collecting the business card and taking pictures on site. But they do not just taking pictures on their own. They have a notary there with them to take on-site notarizations. And they decide to bring this case to the court later on instead of complaint on site. And at the end, the infringement case is favorable to the SMEs, and they get the compensation and stop the infringement for good. So from this case, we learned that you must have registered your IP in China, either domestically or internationally, to enforce your rights. Making sure the evidence of IP infringement you obtain is notarized by a Chinese notary public. Otherwise, those evidence will be invalid in your infringement case later. And here are some takeaway messages. It's a summary of what we talk among today's presentation. IP is your assets, and obtain IP protection before attending the trade fairs to avoid loss of rights, conduct an IP audit, and decide your IP strategy. For trademark and patent, if you do not register them, that means you do not have the full protection in China. Pay attention to the unregistered IP and trade secrets during the trade fair. Research your competitor who will attend the trade fair and potential partners. And you need to know where is the IP complaint center and how to file a complaint. Collect and preserve the evidence of infringement, and have the IP expert in place before you attending the trade fair in China, and considering taking enforcement actions after the trade fair instead of on site. And for any questions, you can always contact us. Again, you can book a meeting with me or just write an email to our helpline email address. You can find us in different channels. And thank you very much. And it will be much appreciated if you can let us know your feedback of today's presentation, or any questions you want to know, any topics you want to know in the future, so we can host more free webinars in the future and benefit all the small and medium-sized enterprises from Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa and Helika, for your wonderful presentation. I'm now checking for the questions, and we have one. So the question is, I'm going to China as a speaker at the conference. What should I watch out for? What is risky? We won't be exhibiting, but the topic of protection is always on the table. So is there anything we should watch out for, even if we talk, not directly exhibit?
It depending on the presentation content and also what industry this business in. But generally, there are some considerations you should keep in mind. First, it's whether or not you are going to share the new technology of your company. And second, it's whether or not you are going to negotiate with any business partners before or after your speech. Of course, as a speaker, you will expose yourself a lot and get a lot of attention, I believe so. So, for instance, if you showcase the new technology of your company during your speech, and be aware that it could prevent your technology from being patentable later on. Therefore, check if you already have patented your technology. If not, considering hiding those technical information during your speech. Like the case study I already shared, it's always okay to talk about the advantage and why this is so innovative and change the industry. But for the core technical information, if you do not have the patent in China, you have to be very careful. And also, well, keep those photos and documents when you attend those conference. And for those conference, it's still possible for you to claim the trade fair priority later on, but you need to have the documents to showcase you bring this topic to the trade fair, to the conference. And also you have this contract or any documents to indicate that you have been invited as a speaker there. And because it's possible that you will meet some business partners, so prepare an NDA in Chinese and in English in advance in case you are going to go to the next stage of the negotiation. And also, like I already said, we provide a free of charge services, including doing a background search. It's informal and basic, but it's better than nothing. So you can always contact me if you meet any interesting Chinese partners and want to see if they are decent enough to work with.
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa, for answering this question. So there are no more questions. I believe in that case, your presentation was fully clear and supportive. We wish everybody a successful exhibiting in China on the China market. We believe it will bring you a fruitful discussions, and you will also use the information from the presentation. So once again, Lisa and Helika, thank you for your wonderful presentation. We stay in touch and have a nice rest of the day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Daniel.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Mm.